Welcome to another episode of the Goddess Sugar Podcast. I trust that you are arriving in gratitude, love, and all the magic the universe has to offer because you are very much magical. A gentle reminder before we dive in. Everything that I speak about on my podcast comes from my personal truth, experiences, and journey. Take what resonates with your spirit and leave what doesn't. This is a space for exploration and not perfection. Trust your own path and let's walk this magical journey together. Before any episode, I think it's important for me to acknowledge the people and the forces that have brought me here today. Thank you to my divine pantheon for trusting me with your ancestral wisdom. Thank you to Spirit for being all things. Thank you to the universe for holding the cosmic beauty of our infinity. Thank you to my ancestors who walked before me. Thank you to my sacred guides for holding my hand every step of the way. Thank you to my family, friends, mentors, teachers, and the collective who support me in this physical realm. And thank you to myself for daring to live as the goddess that I am. I'm back. Hey, what's going on? I know it's been like a minute since your girl has been on because your girl has been traveling, okay? I've been traveling, just getting stuff together. Everything is going on in life, but like good, really good change. So yeah, I'm sorry. I've been MIA just a little bit. But if you follow me on my TikTok and Instagram, like I still been posting content. I just haven't done a full episode in a while. But what's going on? I hope y'all are in a really good mood because I'm in a really good mood and I'm really excited about this episode, okay? So before we get into it, I always like to pull my affirmation cards, okay? From the top, I already shuffled, period. My energy is expensive and exclusive, okay? And is, okay, so I have my smoke. Do we have everything? Okay, so this is a juicy episode. We're going to be talking about the art of pleasure. Pushin P, pleasure, okay? How do we incorporate pleasure into our spiritual practice? This conversation is going to remind you that your pleasure is not just a luxury. It's your birthright, and you should be experiencing pleasure every single day. We're going to explore how to release your shame and to embrace that sensuality and that sexual side, okay? The concept of your sexual power is literally the foundation of your manifestation power. Okay, so Pushin P, like... I thought it was so funny that I named this episode that because when I hear that like phrase, like that's all I think about. Like the P is for pleasure, you know? And when I think about pleasure in my life, I'm basically giving myself permission to live the most juicy, like magical, delicious life. Pleasure is a divine life force that flows through your body, your heart, and your spirit. It is simply a sacred expression of your higher self. And again, it's not just physical energy. This is emotional freedom, spiritual liberation. It's the expression of your purest creativity. And to honor your pleasure is to honor yourself. And honestly, I'm gonna let y'all in on a little secret. Pleasure is how you access your abundance, your bliss, and your peace, period. So let's really get into it because depending on what your definition of pleasure and how you look at pleasure, that obviously is subjective to you, right? However, I kind of want to challenge you to reframe pleasure and how you see it. So some people will not allow themselves to feel pleasure or experience pleasure because maybe there's some shame around it. Wild thing is when it comes to our sacral chakra, I talk about the sacral chakra because that is the energy center of the body. That is the container for your sexual energy, for your pleasure, for your creativity, for your passion, all of that. And some people may not even realize that you have a blockage of your sacral chakra. And sometimes it's like almost underperforming because you're suppressing that expression of pleasure, right? When I'm talking about pleasure, you guys, I'm not necessarily just talking about sex, obviously. Again, I want you to think about pleasure in the form of what makes you feel juicy. What makes you feel delicious? What makes you feel soft? What like gives you that like, you know, tingle in your spine you know? And a way that I experience pleasure every day as a goddess is that I romanticize everything in my life. Like, that's my secret. People think that like I'm just lucky. No, the reason why I'm able to manifest so easily and like really enjoy my life is because I incorporate pleasure into my daily life. Okay. So by romanticizing everything I do, it's not just, oh, I'm going to romanticize when I'm going on a date or anything like that. No, I romanticize when I'm able to take care of myself. I romanticize going to the gym. I romanticize my glamour magic. So when I do my makeup, when I do my hair, you know what I mean? I romanticize going to my ancestor altar and being able to connect and have intimacy with my guides and with my ancestors. I romanticize when I say my affirmations at my goddess altar. Y'all, when I tell you everything's like romantic to be in my life, you know what I'm saying? Even, I know this may sound crazy, but even when I'm going through like challenging times in my life, I still find a way to romanticize it, because when I look at a challenge, I look at it as a way, okay, how am I deepening my relationship with self? And that's the other thing too. I do not allow my pleasure to be outsourced. Does that make sense? And when I mean outsource, I mean my pleasure is always within. It doesn't come from another person. And that's what trips people up too. Whether you're talking about pleasure like literally in a sexual way, or you're just talking about romance in your life, a lot of people, what they do is that you tie it to another person being in your life. You know what I'm saying? You tie it to a certain thing when it should always start within. You know what I mean? And once you change that lens and you're like, wow, my world revolves around me and everything that I do is romantic for me, then you start to take that pleasure that you feel inside and it radiates in your outer world and your reality, because honestly, the outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. Okay, so if you are circulating and you are feeling that pleasure inside, you're going to literally experience more pleasurable things on the 3D, period. You have to, first of all, give yourself permission to have a juicy life. Give yourself permission to experience pleasure every single day, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is, whatever brings you pleasure. Allow yourself to experience that. Say yes. Do not allow anyone to tell you you can't experience this thing or this feeling. No, it's all you. Give yourself the permission slip. And especially, I just want to speak out to my goddesses. I know there's the gods out here that are watching the episode, but especially for my goddesses, because obviously like women have been oppressed through time. And I just want to say this, as a woman, as a living goddess that you are, this is definitely important for you to give yourself permission to pleasure, because as a goddess in her full sexual authority and her full sexual power, that is how you're going to fast track your manifestations. Even today, society is scared of women who allow themselves to experience pleasure, right? Because what are we told about our pleasure? If we allow ourselves to experience pleasure, we're told that we're slutty, that we're whores. We're told that you're not ladylike if you allow yourself to experience pleasure. And not only allowing yourself to experience pleasure, but being like really out loud with it. You know what I mean? Like loving yourself out loud in that way, you know? And it's like, no, you deserve to live an erotic life, okay? I want us to kind of find the balance here, because pleasure is just not sexual. Like it literally tracks through your whole life. So like I said, whatever brings you that juice, whatever gets you hot, allow yourself to experience it. I just wanted to put that message out, especially for the goddesses. Like, dare to be fucking erotic. Dare to be a pleasure goddess, okay? Like, go against society. Like, I'm just all here for it. That's all I'm saying. You determine your definition of pleasure. As the living goddess that you are, or living god for the men out there, pleasure should not be optional. It's your birthright. It is your divine right. It is a requirement for you to up level, okay, in this life. Allow pleasure in, period. Back to what I was saying about romanticizing. I put these two together. When I romanticize things in my life, it's pleasurable to me. When I buy an airplane ticket, when I go to one of my favorite cities, when I'm drinking my herbal tea because it just makes me feel like a witch. You know what I'm saying? I allow my sensuality to be a part of everything that I do, because it makes me feel juicy and like it's pleasing. Even the way that I take care of myself, my rituals that I do for me, it's pleasurable. It reminds me of the goddess that I am. That's the beautiful thing. When you romanticize your life, you remind yourself of the love that you have for self. I would say my pleasure is tied to my foundation of self-love. That's something I've been constantly working on. It's not just a one-time thing. It's something that I constantly work on. It's something that I constantly incorporate in my life, because every time I do a ritual of self-care, or I do something that I want to do, I do something that pleases me, it reminds me and it tells me I love myself, Zipporah, I love you. So you see the intertwine of pleasure and self-love, and making sure that all starts from within. Even me now, like doing this podcast episode, it's pleasurable to me. Why? Because I'm allowing myself to be expressed. I'm saying all the things that I want to say. I'm giving my thoughts to y'all. I'm not holding back. Let that expression come out, love, because not only are you doing it for you, but it inspires other living goddesses to do the same thing. So adding to the romanticizing of my life, I literally make decisions that turn me on. When I think about something and I'm in the midst of making the decision, I choose the one that turns me on. I choose the one that makes me laugh. I choose the one that makes me feel really good. I choose the one that makes my heart tickle. And this is what I dare you to do, like going forward. Make a decision that turns you on. Okay, that's my dare for you, love. I'll say this for me. I can't speak for everyone else, but for me, how I know, like when I'm in the process of like making decisions for myself, that's how I know it's aligned. Like if it turns me on, if I'm like, yeah, like, yeah. And so these things that I'm talking about, this is how you're going to release the conditioning of your sacral chakra in particular, because when the sacral chakra is blocked, it will be blocked by guilt and by shame. Those are the two things, because it can go two ways. Either you feel guilty about your pleasure, about your bliss, or you feel ashamed about it. You feel like, oh, like maybe I'll be seen as nasty, or maybe I'll be seen as weird if I express my pleasure, if I do something that pleasures me. Babe, forget what the people have to say, because here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, the people that judge you, the people that have a lot to say about you living a pleasurable life, about you making aligned decisions, about you being expressive of your power, they're most likely miserable and not expressing their pleasure. It scares people when you decide to express your pleasure. When you make the decision to live a life that turns you on, it triggers a lot of people because they're not doing it. And they're like, why is she doing? Why is he doing it when I wouldn't dare to do that? But babe, we don't need those projections. We don't need those projections of fear, guilt, and shame, baby. Take those lower programs somewhere else, okay? Because we don't do that. Your sensuality is literally holy energy. Your womb, your body, everything about your vessel, about your temple are portals of creation. Even your energy centers, from like a spiritual standpoint, from an energetic standpoint, portals, okay? Allow it to be a portal of creation. Your pleasure is your birthright. It's not meant to be suppressed. The more you suppress that expression, first of all, your body eventually is going to turn against you, because it's like, hold on, I got all this energy up in me. You ain't creating nothing. You ain't let it go. Like, what are we doing? So your body can only hold on to so much. So it is very important that you do not allow yourself to be suppressed. Okay. Again, stop suppressing your pleasure power. Period. Also, something very important about pleasure: giving and receiving. So as much as you give, make sure that you're receiving as well. It's a perfect balance. The more that you allow yourself to receive pleasure, you open up and you expand your abundance capacity. Okay? As I'm talking about this pleasure energy, sacral chakra energy, you take advantage of your life force energy. Literally, that's what sexual energy is. Like, sexual energy can be creative energy. It can be healing energy. Like, I don't know if y'all have ever like met a person like this, but someone who has a lot of sexual energy that people would describe it as, it can also be very healing, because we're talking about the life force energy that is naturally within you. So use that to create, use that to express. Push that pleasure, okay? Use it as a magnet for manifestation in your life. Something that I do all the time. When I think about major manifestations that I've literally like manifested, I think about it and I'm like, I allow it, like the thought of that reality, I allow it to turn a girl on and I'm like, yes. You know, I'm feeling that, you know? Use this life force energy to channel your visions. Use it to channel your dreams. Use it to channel that self-embodiment, okay? I talk about this all the time. Manifestation is simply you aligning and embodying. Aligning with the reality that you want to be in and embodying that shit. People think that, oh, like, you're faking it. No, you're not faking it. You're just claiming what's already yours by embodying it. So use that concept of what manifestation is, that alignment, and then use your life force energy, aka your sexual energy, creative energy, however you want to look at it, and put it together. You get what I'm saying? Like, come on. I know for me, the minute I decided to allow myself to not only experience pleasure in my own life on a daily basis, but also like be expressive and like so confident in it that I don't care what anyone has to say. It's been a avenue of liberation for me, because I can't speak to everyone else's story, but I know for me as a girl growing up, you know, I was told that, you know, pleasure is nasty and like, you know, you shouldn't do those things. And there's certain ways that a lady can only experience her pleasure. And even so, you have to keep it hidden. Like, no. Like I said, pleasure in both a sexual way, but also in a creative way, and just overall life. Like I said, overall life force. This is all, it's a lot of overlap when I'm talking about this. And so don't allow it to be suppressed. Don't allow it to be hidden, because that's a part of you that if you don't allow it to be expressed, eventually it just gets put on this back burner and it becomes part of your shadow self. And you don't want that. No, she wants to be expressed. Okay. You have to break these cycles of oppression, scarcity, and survival mode. Break it with your pleasure power. Allow it to fuel your confidence and your creativity. Okay, I would even say that me incorporating pleasure into my spiritual practice has upped my confidence so much, because as I explained in another episode, I wasn't always the most confident girly. And part of it was because I was suppressing so much of myself to fit in the box that I feel like I had to be in based on societal standards or based on people around me, you know? And once I really allowed myself to be like, hey, I'm going to express what makes me happy and what makes me feel juicy and delicious. I mean, I did a whole 180 with my confidence. You know what I'm saying? I even think about myself years ago. I'm like, I would have never expressed that out loud like 5 years ago or whatever. So allow it to be fueled. Pleasure is such a beautiful thing if you allow it to be and you really change your perspective on it, you know, because I don't think it's fair that it's okay for some people to express pleasure at certain times. No, we're all worthy of expressing and experiencing pleasure all the time. So I dare you to allow yourself to be free, allow yourself to be liberated, and push that pleasure, okay? Period. Thank you for sharing this sacred space with me today. Remember, your pleasure is your power. Your joy is your liberation. Your radiance is unstoppable. Keep romanticizing your life. Keep choosing what feels ever so good. And never apologize for being turned on by your own existence. Period. Stay calm. And remember, even when life tries to throw salt in your sugar, be a goddess anyway. Peace and blessings. Much love. Ciao, ciao. Ashe. Until next time, love. XOXO.